Hey, this is Dan with Pain Free You. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Nick from Australia. He has decided to share his success story with you. So, Nick, welcome to the call. Welcome to my Pain Free You community. And thanks for being willing to do this. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little story about what's been going on?
Thanks for having me, and thanks for your channel and your daily videos. They're awesome. It's uncanny how just when you need to hear something, your video pops up. It's like, hang on, did I send him an email? How does he know? I'm
Yeah,
sure not.
I talk to so many people, and so many people are encountering very, very similar circumstances. So
Yeah.
inevitably, I get people saying that all the time. Like, how did you know you needed to tell me that today? So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So where
No,
you been, man? What's been going on with you? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
so I'm one of those unlucky ones, I guess, where I've had every pain under the sun, every part of my body. If you want to have a pain off, I'll challenge you to a pain off. I'm sure there's something of yeah, I'm sure there's something of it's basically everything from migraines, the classic back pains, all the mental health stuff, IBS, ear pain, fingernail pain, burning. That was one of my worst ones, the burning in my legs. So basically from above your knee to sort of up to your butt, either side of those top parts of your legs. And that was one of the hardest things to get rid of. But all my pain really started from childhood. So when I was a child, I used to get what I call back attacks. So, just a happy go lucky kid running around the yard, and then boom, massive back spasm, like, like
Wow.
a shape of a coin. And you could actually see it, the muscle would spasm. And it's like if someone got light, yeah, it's like lightning. Someone had a lightning rod and went zzz, and it would just drop me to my knees and I'd scream. And then, you're a kid, 5 minutes later, you're up and running around again.
How
Um,
old were you when this started?
oh, very young. I think my first one was like about 7 or 8.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, and from a very young age, very bad headaches and migraines. Always headaches. Never be a day without a headache. But lots of migraines. A lot of stuff at night.
Hmm.
You um, I'd see stuff, am I asleep? Am I actually seeing things like, wake up in pools of sweat, night tremors, heaps of growing pains, a lot of urinary problems. So sounds like a horrible childhood, but you're a kid, right? You just roll with it. It's only now upon reflection I realize, and not that I'm the toughest guy in the world, but I am pretty thick skin. I can handle a lot. I just
Hmm.
just roll with it. It's like, come on, is that all you got? Bring it, you know.
Sure.
So that's
That's wild.
that's my nature. Yeah, that's so. And then looking back now, I've realized I was actually having panic attacks when I was a child. So all of that sort of stuff rolled through into my teens. But then, unfortunately, in my teens, I had like I guess you'd call it a mental health breakdown, sort of late teens, where I experienced panic attacks, which again, I didn't know what it was. I thought I needed to go to hospital. My heart was, done to explode.
Wow.
And so this is the 90s, right? Like late 90s. So don't know what it was like in the States back then. We really didn't have internet. Well, we did, but it was dial up and no one really had
Not
it.
much going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible. So, and that's before Dr. Google. So, whatever the doctor says you do, take this blue pill. Don't question it. Shut up. Take it. Oh, but it makes me feel weird and like, it's messing with my head and stuff. No, 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 that's your fault. All of that.
Mm. Awful.
That's I don't want to be negative against doctors because they have a purpose and a place, and we've come a long way. But yeah, I've had some really bad experiences with doctors and psychiatrists, and so yes, I had panic attacks, and then that unfortunately led to agoraphobia. So I didn't leave my bedroom for about 3 to 4 months. So that was pretty bad. So you remember I'm late teens, early 20s. So you're meant to be in your prime in your life, going out partying and drinking and doing all the good stuff, right?
Yeah,
You
and you're
know,
hiding at home.
hiding at home. So then I found a little book by a guy called Norman Gunston. He was an Australian sort of actor, and so he had panic attacks, and he wrote a book about it, how he came, got over it, and it's sort of some parts of it are very similar to the TMS approach. Obviously, I didn't know about all that back then,
Hmm.
so I learned that it was, not to fear it, and I learned to say, so what? That's basically the whole premise of the book. No what ifs. What if I go out and have a panic attack? What if this happens? So you change your whole thinking to so what? Who cares? Have a panic attack. Who cares? So it's like retraining your brain. There's nothing to fear. So again, it's sort of like the TMS approach. There's
That's
nothing to
like what I
fear.
talk about every day.
Yeah, that safety message.
Indifference. I'm okay. Nothing
Yeah,
bad's happened.
yeah. And it's so
Awesome.
powerful that because you don't, when you're a young man and there's no internet and you're listening to the doctor and no one's explaining what a panic attack is. So no one went into emotions and the psychological, you think, oh my goodness, I'm going to die. Like my heart is going to die. I don't even know what's going on. So then when you read a book and you're seeing this guy on the telly who's famous and he's got it, oh, well, if he's okay, well, then I'm okay. So what? So that was my
What
motto.
was
So
the
that
author's name?
not he's a comedian. His name was Norman Gunston.
Okay. Do you remember the name of the book?
No,
That's okay.
no.
Not a problem.
I'll find it and I'll email it to you.
Yeah, because I guarantee I'm going to get questions about it. What was that book? So,
Uh,
no, it's quite
yeah,
all right. No, I wrote down the name, and I'm sure if I search Amazon, if he's on there, he's there. If not, probably a used bookstore somewhere if it's not in
you,
publication.
well, you will laugh and people will laugh who don't know him when you Google him. That's all I'm going to say because he's a comedian. Okay, I'll leave it at that. He's an interesting guy. Um, yeah. So then, so sort of started to get my life back a little bit, but unfortunately, it jumped to a severe form of OCD, right? So I call it OD. Okay. I had obsessive disorder. I had no compulsions. I didn't have to put the pegs on the line. I didn't have to, in the right order or, wipe the door handle or sing Mary 15 times or someone was going to die. Like it was unwanted intrusive thoughts, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, they were brutal. It's the greatest form of a TMS attack, looking back now, and greatest form of keeping you completely fixated on something,
Mhm.
So, and for me, it was 24/7. Even in my sleep, it would be happening. And so, what would happen with it would come along anxiety and sweating and pain and weird stuff. When I say weird stuff, I mean like, if you did really bad drugs and you went on some weird trip, that's sort of the experience I was happening without the drugs. And it wasn't a good experience. It was pretty brutal. So again, I got pushed around by all the GPs and doctors, and unfortunately, I got pushed to a very bad psychiatrist. And I don't care. I'll say that. I don't give a crap what anyone says. He was horrendous. If I saw him in the street, I'd much rather be attacking. I'll be honest. Like there's still anger, because I'm a young man, right? And he didn't just put me on antidepressants. He went and put me on all these antipsychotics. Um, why would you put me on antipsychotics? I wasn't psychotic. And these were heavy duty things. And then someone told me there was one thing I was taking. Someone had access to the internet, said, mate, I've just researched about this stuff. It's actually banned in some countries and it's causing young men just to either kill themselves or drop dead from heart attacks. So
Wow.
I confronted him, and he said, no, no, no. So again, you've got to believe me, I'm a psychiatrist. So that all happened. Now that I could talk about that for 6 years,
Yeah.
So I don't want to devalue it, but we'll move on. But that was brutal.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So
so
can I
then
just jump you back a little bit?
yeah,
Knowing what we know about the TMS mind body world, have you ever
yeah,
been able to put the pieces together as to why all this crap started so young? Did you have a rough upbringing?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. We
yeah.
don't have to talk about it. I just wanted to make sure you've been able to connect the dots and kind of piece together that, well, now that I know this, it sure makes sense given what
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. We don't have to
Oh,
bring it up. I don't want to
yeah.
get into that. I
Yeah.
was just curious.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about me, mate. You can say whatever you want.
All right, I'm just saying it's because I'm sure a lot of people would be sitting there going, "Well, what the heck happened? That he was having this problem so early," and
Yeah.
we don't necessarily need to go into it, but I just wanted to connect the dots here as well. So, all right.
Yeah.
So after the psychiatrist, where
Yeah. So
you
what
must be.
happened was I turned to exercise, like real hard exercise, right? Threw all the pills in the bin, sort of applied that approach to the OCD, for the panic attacks. And again, this is me just figuring it out. It was like my body was teaching me naturally, because I
Hmm.
started to realize, when because I wasn't exercising, I was eating so poorly because I was trapped in my house for most of the time and scared to engage and all of that. And so that really helped for me, just being really physical, like running and heaps of running and hitting the surf and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so that went on, and then out of nowhere, I started getting horrendous migraines. So so this is one of my biggest symptoms. So when I call it migraines, some people call it fibromyalgia. I've had different diagnoses for it. So what happens is starts on one side of the body, and it's always in the neck, and my neck becomes extremely tender and soft, but it feels like it's burning from the inside out, and you can literally feel it. And then it becomes
Wow.
a pulse, and you'll see a vein. So it's not all in your head. You can literally see it, mate. This guy's neck's on fire. It's doing this. You can see it. And so it shoots up to the temple, into the back of the eye, into the crown. And that's what's causing the migraine. Now, this can knock you out for a day. This can knock you out for a week, because what happens is if it gets really bad, like even just the start of it's bad for most people, right? But for me, when it gets really bad, it goes to nausea, and then I go into a vomiting fit. So I can't open my eyes, I can't stand, I can't walk, I've got to lie down, and then I just start vomiting. So it goes to my stomach,
Hmm.
and so the vomiting fit could be vomit once. The worst has been 13 times. I'll
Wow.
vomit, lie back down, vomit, lie back down, and in the end, it's just acid, and who knows what you're bringing up. So that was brutal. That was really hard. So I went from the mental health stuff to this stuff, and then that got worse and worse. Went to all the doctors, did all the tests. No one could figure out what was wrong with me, and I stumbled across the naturopath. So didn't know what a naturopath was, had no idea. Um, so that helped. So the naturopath did help, but I was taking everything under the sun from him, all the vitamins, all the magnesiums, all these different things. So now looking back, it makes sense why it helped. It was treating the symptoms, not the problem. So obviously it was wrong. It was like an ultimate natural muscle relaxant, in some respect, and like an anti-inflammatory as well, but it was all natural products. And then I changed my diet. So I did all that. And because I'm pretty full on, I followed it to the T. That's my nature, right? That's why I got TMS. So I'm going to do something, I'll do it before you even think about asking me to do it. That's my nature. And
Right.
so I lost heaps of weight. I look like an AIDS victim, like a kid from Ethiopia
Wow.
following that. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. But I'd rather that than throwing up, you know, and having the pain. So that went on, and then my life sort of settled down. Everything sort of settled down, and then um, I had a massive back attack. Okay, so this is the one which really changed my life. So it wasn't just the one back attack from childhood into my teen years. This was middle of the night, like a hot burning knife in the middle of my spine,
Right.
and I basically progressively went downhill from then. So from middle back pain to every part of my body pain. And so I've had every type of back pain, neck pain, and I went through everything. So you asked me before what didn't work. Everything I tried didn't work. I tried all your conventional, like everyone else, physio and everything, all the doctors, all the physios, cryo, osteopaths. Man, I spent so much money at osteopaths. Um,
Right.
so and then I even tried weird stuff. I call it, there was this guy in Sydney in the city, right? I think you guys call it downtown. He was super expensive and he was like a Mr. Miyagi. Like, he did some weird ass shit. Went to
Energy
him.
healing.
Yeah, all this weird stuff. Yeah. Mate, you pay a fortune. It did nothing. I saw one Asian fella and he'd put acupuncture needles on me and then put electricity into it and then start turning it up and zapping me. And funny part about all this is you're just that desperate to heal, but you're paying someone to torture you, you know.
Wow.
So, that was brutal. I found this ex-rugby league player from the 70s, right? We call him Barry Big Hands. His hands were like, one hand was massive. Mate, he'd flog you. He'd just start pounding you, massaging you. So yeah, that didn't really work. So all of that happened. And then different things would come up, different types of pains to eye pains to chronic fatigue. I had chronic fatigue syndrome. I couldn't really get up for a while. It'd be days where I couldn't really get out of bed. I just had the brain fog and I was exhausted. So that was all my symptoms. And then tried everything. And I just stumbled. This is around 2013. I stumbled across John Sarno online. So at this point, I was being driven around. I couldn't really sit. I couldn't even really lie down. Back then, I wish I could float because it didn't matter what I did, I was in pain.
Right.
Case. So I came across Sano, and then I think it was the TMS wiki or some version of it back then. And then I started seeing me and other people, posting online, and that just blew me away. And I went, "Are you serious? All of this time, this is what it is, all the way back to childhood. Are you freaking kidding me? Why didn't fucking someone tell me? Like, this is outrageous." You know what I mean? All the pills, all the diets, all the Miyagis, all that crap. You've got to be kidding me. So, didn't really fully understand it. And so I ordered a book, and this is no lie, right? So I'm going from being driven around. I wish I could float because I can't sit all that. I literally read the book, got up, walked into the backyard, picked up an axe, and cut down a tree. That is literally what happened. I basically had a book cure to the physical back pain. It disappeared like that. Okay, so unbelievable. And again, I still didn't really get it all. It was just that it was the ultimate message of safety. To me, that's what Sano did for me. It's like, you're not broken, you're safe, there's nothing wrong with you, there's no danger. And back then I didn't know about neuroplasticity and all these technical terms. I just knew I was safe, there was nothing wrong with me, and I'm going to go outside and prove it. So
You know what happened? I mean, typically fear and the attention we give to the symptoms and the avoidance of the symptoms is what keeps it going. So you
yeah,
basically bought Sarno's theories wholesale. You just completely accepted it. And your fear level went from way up here where it's been most of your life down to through the floor. And you basically said, well, if that's true, let me go outside and prove it. So you did. And your brain said, holy crap, he is okay. Turned it off.
yeah.
Fantastic. So I'll let you keep going. Just an observation.
No, that's good. That's good. I like listening to you. um, so that happened. But what happened then was my TMS character came out, right? So I went on discovery mode. So I had to read every book. In hindsight, I should have stopped. I went and got Howard Schubin's book. So I went, because what happened is there was still three symptoms left. The migraines, remember, I just call it migraines, that whole process. It's
Right.
just easier to call it migraines. Insomnia. Oh, that's one thing I didn't talk about before. That was one of my really bad symptoms too. I'd go, days, weeks without sleep. It was just brutal. And the burning. So the migraines, the insomnia, and burning. Knew about Sano, made all the back pain disappear, neck pain, eye pain, everything disappeared. But the migraines, the insomnia, and the burning, which makes sense if you think about what you just said, right? It was always the opposite. I always had fear and attention.
On
The
those three
migraines
things.
come, yeah, those three things, because the burning is permanently with you. You're sitting, you're lying, you're standing, you're in the shower, you're swimming, you can feel it. So it's so hard not to focus on it and not to fear it, even though you're saying to yourself, I don't fear it, but you are. And
Yes.
same with sleeping, same with insomnia, like, come on, man, just go to sleep. I've got to go to work tomorrow. I don't need this. I don't need this migraine to come on. You can hear it now, right? When I say it, you can feel that angst.
Right.
So yeah, so they were the three things. So this is about 13. I discovered Sano. So it's only recently I've become, if you want to call it, fully recovered, right? So it has taken me that long. So I went on my quest. Read all the books, tried everything Sano related, journaled myself into, I'm not a depressive guy, but I guess I became depressed from journaling. Journaling helped me in the beginning, definitely helped me. So what I would do in the beginning is when I'd wake up, I'd read a few pages of Sano, even though I'd read it 100 times. I just keep rereading it. I'd do some journaling, I'd do some meditation, and that really helped me. But I got to a point where I'm like, why isn't these last three things going away? And I've journaled about everything, and I've done every type of journaling, right? From straight out writing to writing letters to dead family members, tried all the different tactics. And I was on the search. Oh, okay, there's something missing. There's some emotion, there's some event. That's not true, folks. I can stop the recording now. It's not true. You don't need to find it. I found out that the hard way, right? I journaled
Yeah, I
myself.
talk about that all the time. We don't have to go
Yeah,
find something that happened in third grade. We just have to convince the brain that we're okay now.
yeah, definitely.
Cool.
So that went on. Then I tried some TMS doctors, some TMS psychologists. I won't say names, but some, real notable ones. Did not work for me. Honestly, I had the opposite response. A lot of the time, I'd get worse and it would send me crazy. And then you'd get told, oh no, that's a good thing. This is what happens before you finally overcome. No, no, I don't accept that, because that's not what happened. So, because what we were doing is we just kept digging up the past. You don't need to dig up the past, like we just said. That's why I've always liked you, Dan. For me, it's just so clear and simple and just direct, and you're safe. You're not broken. Get on living your life. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's it. I know it's hard. I know it's hard when you're suffering. Um, so all that was happening, and then I just came to the point, well, you know what? I've gotten good enough health wise. This is just me now. This is my existence. I'm always going to have the burning. The migraines are going to happen every now and again. And from time to time, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And I just accepted it. So that's what happened. And I just kept on living my life. And I was living an okay life, but not an optimal life,
Right.
still put a lot of boundaries in place. And that's when I stumbled across you, you know, and it really resonated with me. I went, this guy gets it. Like to me, you're like the modern version of Sana. Like it just, it's straight and powerful. And I think with you, it's because you've lived it. I've noticed when the doctors and even TMS specialists, a lot of them, it's a book thing. You know what I mean? They've never actually lived it.
Right.
Now, that may not be fair to them, but that's my opinion. It's those like you who have lived it, who get it, who have been in tears and in horrific pain, and come on through the other side. So yeah, so your daily videos were brilliant. Then I signed up for your course, and again, I loved your course because it was. I found it hard to sign up for your course because I went, here we go again. You're doing it again. You're trying to find another thing. You're trying to do another thing. You know it all. Just stop. You know what I mean? But I'm happy I didn't this time, because your videos I found through your course, those videos I found very simple and easy to follow, and it really resonated. And I did a couple of the group coaching, um, and then I stumbled across Rebecca Tolan. Yeah, so not to go into past stuff, but there's sort of some similar things with trauma. So there was that sort of connection. I went,
Sure.
oh, wow. And then when I was on her website, I thought I had tried every type of TMS approach. On her website, a free somatic tracking appeared, and mate, that did wonders for me. Okay, it may not work for everyone. Everyone's
Mhm.
different. That's the one thing I've learned. We're all different. Whatever works for you, you know. So that somatic tracking really worked for my burning because it was a way to, I guess, focus or experience or look at the burning from a position of safety and teach the brain that this sensation is safe and it's not dangerous and there's really nothing wrong with you. So that's my, my interpretation or how somatic tracking helped me. Now, when I say somatic tracking, there's must be a billion different versions of somatic tracking. For me, it's a pre-recorded thing I listen to of Rebecca speaking to me, where you just calming yourself down, getting grounded, becoming present in your body, finding a sensation in your body, and just looking at the characteristics. How does it feel? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it sharp? So it's just telling your brain these sensations are safe, right? Because you tell me, Dan, that my understanding is the brain keeps on turning on this pain danger signal, which we have no control of the brain turning it on or off, right? All we can do is that the signals it's sending, the sensations, the symptoms, whatever you want to call it, we can just respond to that without fear and without attention. So it's like reversing it. It's like, well, I can't go into my brain and flick that switch and say, stop sending the signal.
Right.
Uh, if you can figure out a way, please email me because I'll do
Well,
it. But
my example, like I'll tell coaching clients as I'm doing a call like this, I'll say it's not within our conscious control. I cannot look at my hand and say hurt, turn on the pain, hurt. It just doesn't do it. Right.
yeah,
So if I can't turn it on, I can't turn it off the same way. It's not a conscious thing we can control. We can influence it exactly based on what you were just saying as to how we choose to respond to it. And the message is to ourselves that this is actually a safe experience. There's no danger here. It's just a false alarm, so to speak. And I like that language because it's the brain perceiving danger somewhere where there's actually not danger. And it's just sounding the alarm. And it can get stuck, turned on for years or decades. And
yeah,
so that's why I try to keep it pretty straightforward. But Rebecca's a great lady. She and I have actually become friends. I understand you'll be doing a success story with her as well, which is wonderful. She's awesome. Um, so yeah, somatic tracking. It sounds a lot like a formalized process for what I call indifference.
yeah,
You're going to notice the symptoms, and getting back to Gunder, so what? They're there. Don't care. I
yeah,
know I'm okay. And it all goes back to the foundational knowledge that when you understand TMS means you're actually not broken, there's nothing wrong with you physically, it's easier to get to the so what. So I don't really have a formal process I teach with the somatic tracking um, because I didn't use that in my recovery. And I
yeah,
don't know about teaching something that wasn't part of my recovery, just like, I don't teach meditation or
yeah,
breath work because tried that stuff. It wasn't my solution. And somatic tracking, I don't even think was there 13, 14 years ago, whatever. And so
no,
it's a wonderful tool. And, if anybody watching this wants to explore that, there are resources. I know Jim Prusak
yeah,
talks about that. Rebecca Tolan talks about that. As a matter of fact, Rebecca worked with Jim Prusak early on.
yes,
And
yeah,
so she probably learned a lot of what she is now sharing with her coaching clients from Jim Prusak. So for anybody, look at the Pain PT on YouTube and look up Rebecca Tolan. Great resources for anybody who's looking to dive into somatic tracking. But I'm sorry, I'll let you keep going. I just wanted to let people know where they could find some of this info if they wanted to dig it up.
yeah. No, that's good. That's good because to me, it's right. It's all about Sano's message that you're safe and you're not broken. Now, whatever way you go about teaching yourself that and your
Mhm.
brain, good luck to you. We're all different, right? Some are blokey blokes, and they're like, mate, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? We're all different. And some are like, I like the meditation. Some love journaling. Journaling for me, no, thank you. Tried it, didn't work.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
did
all
that
different.
for 6 months, and my experience was similar in that after 6 months of writing about all the horrible stuff in my life, I literally wrote myself into, I guess, as close as I could get to depression that I've
Yeah,
personally experienced in my lifetime was
yeah,
after 6 months of writing about everything that was wrong with me, my life, my marriage, my family, my child. Oh, God. And I
yeah,
always tend to say that whatever we focus on grows and magnifies. So through the
yeah,
journaling, all I was doing was focusing on everything negative that I had ever experienced and was currently experiencing. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger till it felt depressing. And you,
yeah.
it sounds like you've actually experienced that firsthand as well. So I'm not
So,
saying journaling is not a effective tool, but once you've done the writing, you can
yeah,
stop. You
yeah,
don't have to keep doing it, because the problem with the journaling is if you view that as the answer, as long as you have symptoms, you're going to say, I'm missing something. I got to go find it. And you keep digging and journaling. And sometimes you've already gotten to some of the root emotional challenges, and you can put that down and then focus on safety. So thank you for that. All right. So what else? After somatic tracking, was that what started to give you some progress?
yeah. So that did, and then the next one was self-compassion, something I never knew about, never had done. So when Rebecca started teaching me about self-compassion, I had no idea how brutal I was on myself. No idea. So when I'd start to pull it back and examine how I would treat myself, and then I started to realize if that was a child, you wouldn't treat a child like that. And
Right.
I've heard this in other TMS success stories of people who have come on with you who have said the same thing. It seems that there's a bit of a trait going on there with us TMSs because I'm brutal. I've been successful in business and career even despite all of this, and that's you know. For me, I was the complete opposite to self compassion, right? I've got this job to do, this task to do. Well, bad luck. You're not eating. You're not going to the toilet.
Wow.
I don't care. Your head's pounding, you're vomiting. Toughen up, princess. Get over it. That's me, right? That's that's
Which is
that's the
not
complete.
in any way, shape, or form a message of safety, is it?
No, it's just
Brute force.
yeah, brute force. And it makes sense now why those three remaining big symptoms didn't go away because I was doing my recovery with brute force. You know what I mean? So I've got back pain, stuff you, let's go, bring it. You know what I mean? And I bully my way. So I was bullying my way to recovery, which doesn't work. So my brain still tried to distract me. It couldn't use the back pain anymore. So it would use the migraines, the insomnia.
The
So,
burdens.
and yeah,
And
correct.
the insomnia makes complete sense because you've had all of those horrific experiences while sleeping. You probably climbed into bed going, "Holy crap, what am I going to see tonight?" So you
100%.
go to bed stressed out, fearing sleep. So no wonder there was plenty of times when your brain said, "Nope, we're not doing it. It's dangerous. Keep your eyes open."
Yeah. And it snowballs, right? Because then you don't sleep and you go, oh no, not again, not again. So, so that yeah. So what I found is it's like peeling back an onion. Like you start this healing journey, and you start to calm yourself down, and you start to realize more things. Right?
Mhm.
I didn't. I never. When I first read the Sino book, I didn't know about somatic tracking and using that approach. Or sorry, how do I say it? And like I didn't know that I was so brutal. I didn't even know what anxiety was. I didn't even know what feelings and emotions were. I had to Google it. I had to, give me a list of emotions and explain it to me, right? So that's been part of the process. And I'm not one of these people who likes the journey. No, 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 no. Let's go back to childhood. I don't want the journey. Take it all away. I'm not thankful that this happened because I don't want this to happen to anyone. It was horrific at times.
Yeah.
But that's what I found. The more calmer and more clearer I would become, and things would start to resolve, I would learn more things about me, and then I would make changes, and then those symptoms would start to fade. So it's like this
Awesome.
process. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with the self compassion, so once I realized that, I started doing, I guess it sounds really corny and hokey stuff, but like just talking to my brain in a loving way, like even telling myself, no, I love you. Like even saying that out loud, I feel stupid. Like,
Right.
but it works. It does actually work. Like, and
Yeah.
it makes me feel better, you know?
I often say to people, like, if you know how to calm a scared dog during a thunderstorm or to soothe a scared child who's been frightened, you know how to soothe and comfort yourself. You already know how to do it, but you can do it for yourself. Hey, you're going to be all right. Right.
Yeah,
And I say all the time, the brain is not out to get you. It's not here to hurt you. It's doing its
yeah,
best to protect us. It's just operating on misinformation and fear. So, with better information and messages of safety, work with your brain. It's just trying to keep you safe. Just give it the better information and it will settle things down. So, yeah, self talk is huge. Self compassion. Um, a lot of that comes from early early life stuff and crap and criticisms and judgments from other people, and we carry that stuff forward. And so I've always said that self-image problems are not our own. We didn't create them. Other people gave them to us. You're a piece of garbage, you're not good enough, you got to this, you got to that. And all we're doing as young people and young adults and the older adults is carrying that message that says you're doing everything wrong. You suck. Nothing about you is good. And
yeah,
learning to actually say, I need to treat myself better because beating myself up is not in any way, shape, or form considered safe by the brain because you're
yeah,
judging yourself for everything that you've ever done wrong. None of it was your fault. It's where you ended
mm.
up. So I'm sorry to keep jumping in, but self compassion, you want to carry on from there?
Yeah. So the three big things for me was the somatic tracking, the self compassion, and the last one was being present. Again, I had no idea that what that even meant or that I wasn't present. Or another word is being grounded. So I'll give you an example. You might jump in the car and you got to drive to the shops, get to the shops, and many times I go, did I just drive here? How did I get here? Because during that journey, I was not in the moment. I wasn't present. I was either thinking about past
Mm-hmm.
or future. Me, I'm more a future kind of guy. I've got to do this. I've got 30 clients. I've got to boom, 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 boom. And it's a good trait because it's how you become successful because you can multitask and do a billion things at once, but you're not present. You're not living in the moment. I'm not talking about a hocus pocus thing where you've got to be, it's literally you are not living in the moment. How did I just get to these shops? What happened? It was literally, how did the
Yeah.
shower. So I started to use different things to look at it. Like when I'd go for a drive, I would retrain my brain to be present, and I'd stop and go look at the trees as you're driving past, or look at the speedometer. Just really trying to laser in. The biggest one, which the technique I used, is the shower. Is really embracing the shower, because many times again I'd be in the shower and I'd come out of the shower exhausted. Right, the shower's meant to be pleasant, relaxing, but I've just gone into my mind about all these things I've got to do, or all things from the past. So where I started to use the shower to really just stop, feel the water coming down on my body, like really focusing on it, enjoying it, being present. So it's a way just to retrain myself to
Yeah.
be present. Yeah. So that's been massive for me. Now, and when I started doing these three things, that's when these three symptoms really started to shift. Really, I'd know. And you'd wake up one day, or you go, I've been sleeping like a baby. of, you know, what what's
Awesome.
going on? It just happens. And then like, where's Mr. Bernie? I haven't heard from Bernie in ages. Where's he been? Like he's gone. Like what's going? I haven't vomited. I haven't had a migraine. Like it just happens. And then, but then it gets tricky, right? You start to go, oh no, why isn't it here? What's wrong?
Right.
It's like, do you want it back? What are you talking about?
Right.
you know?
It became
Um,
familiar.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
we tend to look for things that are familiar, not that we want them, not that we like them, but it's just familiar. And the brain is used to patterns and familiarity. And okay, so how did you deal with that? Looking for it.
yeah. That was a challenge. I had to, yeah, I would literally. So one thing I've been doing, part of all of this, is it's not a breathing practice, but I'll just put my hand on my heart. I love you. So like the start of your videos, basically, the start of your videos, I do that practice. So when I'd start looking for it, where is it? I would do that. So I got to a place whenever there was, call it a negative thing, I was trying to do something negative, I would go to that place. Self compassion, kindness to myself, just gratitude, being present. Gratitude's another big one. That's another big thing I learned, just being thankful. Like, and I'd start using the practice of food. Like, I just try and think of simple things to use. Like I've got a beautiful meal. Like, wow, this meal's awesome. How good's this? You know what I mean? Like really exaggerating it, right? But there is truth to it. Like,
Mhm.
you know, I am blessed. I do have a meal. I may not have anything, you know. So trying to just okay, because this is the other option. Live in terror, not fear. Let's use the word terror because it's worse than fear. It's
Yeah.
terror. It's actual terror.
A lot
Oh
of people
no,
can
a
resonate
migraine's
with that.
coming. Yeah, just terror. The migraine's coming on. I'm gonna vomit. No, no, no. So let's not do that. Let's be loving, kind to ourselves in the moment, present, showering yourself with gratitude and kindness and doing those short little breathes. Wouldn't you rather do that than the other? That's the way I looked at it. And I don't care if it sounds hokey and silly. It's you keep talking about this. You can either go, like this, and I like how you do that. It's like, yeah, I get that. You shift. I can either focus on that symptom or I can shift and go this way. Um,
Mhm.
it can be tricky though, because self compassion also means you should acknowledge it. Because I started to realize I wasn't acknowledging the pain. You can't think about the pain or notice the pain because that means you care. That means you're not indifferent. So I'd go down that spiral.
Yeah.
But then I learned, no, you can't actually do that. You actually need to go, you know what? I am in pain. And this actually sucks. Like this sucks. It does hurt. It is horrible. And I'm sorry you're going through this, you know? And that's, I do that as well. Whereas if I didn't do that, it'd be like, I would be fearing. So that sort of makes sense.
I have people say that all the time. I'm afraid to be afraid. So
Yeah.
they just try to act indifferent, but they're totally not indifferent. They're totally
Yeah.
caring. It's not
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah.
And they end up saying, but Dan, I don't get it. How am I supposed to ignore the pain? I said, never once in my videos have I told anybody to ignore the pain. You can't, it's impossible. Acknowledge it, but how you respond to it is your biggest opportunity to influence whether it shows up or not, or sticks around or not. And that's exactly what you're talking about. You'll say, yeah, I recognize it. It's here. It sucks. Nobody likes it. I don't like it either.
Yeah.
But what do you do next is really what's within our influence and control. We can't say, turn off pain. It just doesn't work. So, what we can do is say, wow, I see you, but hey, brain, nothing bad's really going on. You're still
Yeah.
just sounding the alarm. So, I'll let you keep going because this is great stuff.
Yeah. That's really good. So then during one of my sessions with Rebecca, I said, Rebecca, I miss running. I miss being the physical guy. Actually, let's go back a step. When I first started watching your videos and did your online course, I went to a few coaching things. My back pain, I was experiencing some bad back pain then, like I couldn't bend over and all of that stuff. And I got like a burst again of the book when I read Sano after watching you and doing your course and that. And I literally went next door. There's two houses where I live. I went next door and I literally picked up a mattress, right? And I was having bad back pain, picked up a mattress and walked it up and down a flight of stairs.
I remember you telling me that story in the group
Yeah.
that you were able to go carry the mattress around. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That was unbelievable. And so it was like reading, it was like you were like Sano again, right? Had the confidence in that. It happened here. And then one day I started just running up and down the driveway for no reason. And I'm like, why am I running? You know, and then I thought about it, then the pain came. Yeah.
Tricky little bugger.
Yeah. So so yeah, so then I said to Rebecca, I really it's time to test this, right? Everything's settling down, I'm feeling great. Let's do some real, I was walking, there was no back pain, everything was good. I said, I really want to run. I love running. It's been decades since I've run. So she did a practice called graded exposure, but sort of with a bit of a twist. It's really visualization, right? So she'd say to me, she'd talk me through it. Imagine where you're going to run. Let's visualize it. Let's see it. And we would imagine the pain coming on and how I'd respond. So really what we were doing was training or practicing for when I went for a run, if the pain came on, how I would respond. And when I went for a run, how I was going to act, what would I be thinking? What would I do? And I think this was a great practice, but the way I did it is with a bit of a twist. Instead of doing the straight graded exposure, I'd put in self-compassion with it, like messages of safety with it. So not just visualizing it, not just saying, okay, Nick, you're going to go for a run tomorrow. Put your shoes and socks on. There's not going to be pain here. You can do all that. It's fine. But then also doing it from a place of safety and giving yourself those messages of safety and self-compassion. So what I would do is when I'd run, I would start running and I'd just say to myself, I am safe. There is nothing to fear. There is no danger. If the pain came on, I'd say, I'm not even disappointed the pain came on. I love myself. I've got this. But then the thing I'd really do is celebrate it. This is awesome. How good is this? I'm running. Can you believe this? Like really pumping myself up, but meaning it. Because, man, I was running. Like, this is awesome,
Yeah.
And so doing that approach. And then, when the pain came on, and it did, boy, oh boy, did the pain came on. It was brutal. It was brutal, like crippling back pain, stabbing in my hips, the burning. My brain did not like this. It was trying to tell me to stop. And I just keep doing that practice over and over. And then the shower after, really enjoying the shower, just like, at the end of my run, I do a bit of a Rocky thing, like, do these ones.
Yeah. Victory.
Yeah, victory. So that went for 9 days of excruciating pain, really bad pain. And the ninth day I was sitting on the bed because I run really early in the morning, like around 5 a.m. And I had a decision to make. I was putting my socks on and the voice started, Nick, what are you doing? This pain is brutal. Are you crazy? Just stop, mate. And then it would use my own stuff against me. I thought you were self-compassionate. This isn't being self-compassionate. What are you doing? And I just stopped and went, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I love myself. I'm going to go and enjoy a run in spite of the pain. And I went out and I went for a run and the pain stopped and it's never come back. And that was in December. It'll be now August and I run and I run.
That's freaking awesome.
It's unbelievable. Like to me, that was a miracle. Like, the pain I was getting when I was running for it just to stop. And now, bro, I run for miles. Like when I started, I'm pretty sure it was funny if someone was around. There was a few people like, is this guy a beaked whale? What's he doing? Like, I can only last like 30 seconds. I was so out of shape,
Right.
but I was just enjoying it. Now, mate, And then I not pushed it, I challenged it. Okay, well, if I can run now without pain, surely I can do squats. Because I tried to do squats before and I'd end up at a masseuse, right? Because the back pain. This time did squats, nothing. Bang, could do squats, now doing 100 squats a day. I said, oh, okay, well, let's try push ups then. Okay, because push ups always cause me back pain, like really bad. Push ups are the worst thing if you've got back pain, I was told. Not a problem.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
true. It's just the perception and the fear of push-ups.
Yeah. So that's it. So from that, then it just snowballed in a good way, doing squats, doing push ups, doing sit ups, doing everything. So it's been unbelievable, you know. But I think if I hadn't gone through that sort of whole period of learning, I don't think I could have gone through the 9 days of pain. So I want to say that to anyone who's listening, like maybe that's not for you. You got to remember that's me, that's my nature. I'm sort of a bit of a nutcase. Like I'll just bully through things. That's just how I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can handle or not. I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy because I'm not. But so I can imagine that wouldn't work for everyone. So I don't want someone to hear that and go, "Well, I'm not going to do that," and then
The
end up in a
reason
bad.
it worked for you is because you remained confident. You were like crystal clear that I'm not doing anything wrong here. Your messages were very consistent, and it took, like you said, that 9 days for your brain to actually say, this dude is serious. And he's right, because even though I'm sending all this pain stuff, he's still getting up and doing stuff. But the consistency is what made the difference for you,
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
can't freak out one day and then be safe the next day. And your brain's going to go, what about that freak out yesterday? We're not safe. And
yeah.
so, really important stuff. Very
It's
cool, man.
amazing. It's amazing how the pain just turns off. It's still when I stop and think about it, like how can I run and have crippling pain and then the next day run and not have pain? It just, you know,
It's 1,000% proof that the brain is controlling the alarm
yeah,
system.
yeah,
And once the brain has been convinced or sold on the idea that you're actually okay, it can turn it off. Which is
yeah,
why, you mentioned the term, neuroplasticity and neural pathways and all that stuff. I think that's a lot less relevant than people make it out to be. Yes, there are neural pathways that may have been firing signals for a long time, but yet in a day, yours can turn off. So, how is it possible that those neural pathways are relevant? The brain just chooses not to use them. And we don't
yeah,
have to worry about the brain science, never in our lives learning anything in school, business, walking, running, music, you name it. We've never, ever, ever had to think about the connections in our brain. So, why do we have to think about them now as we're trying to teach the brain to turn off these symptoms? And look, this goes for well beyond just pain. It goes for any type of condition that people have. The
yeah,
brain can literally make a decision and turn it off.
yeah.
So brilliant. Anything else you want to share?
For those musos, looks like you're a muso. I can see some drums and stuff up the back.
Yeah, I got drums,
Yeah,
a couple of guitars. Got a piano over here on this side by me.
awesome. So for me, I still wanted to, I guess, feel my emotions, especially when things were coming up during the day. And I was really turned off by journaling. And I'd still journal a little bit, but what I find is my hand can't keep up with what was coming out. And I'm talking about date like life stuff now. I'm not talking about going back into the past
Right.
and digging up
Your right now stuff.
right now stuff. So I play guitar, and I've always been able to sort of touch into my feelings and emotions, even though I didn't know I was touching into feelings and emotions, right? Something I've only really learned because
Mhm.
people would say to me, well, how do you play like that? I don't know. I've never been taught. I picked it up one day when I was a kid and figured it out. All right, played from ear and I played from my heart. I
Yeah.
can't read the dots. I can't read those notes. another clue. I just know that's the chords, and yeah. So, and I thought about that. So instead of journaling, I use my guitar. So if I've got something going on, I'll just close my eyes and think about that and start playing guitar according to that and let whatever comes out. So, if I'm really angry at someone, start playing like some real heavy metal tunes, really fast and that. Sometimes it's really soft. Sometimes I'll just sit on one chord and strum it for 20 minutes, but I may play that chord softer, harder, faster, slower,
Interesting.
major, minor. It's just that is my way to express these feelings and emotions
Yeah.
and rather than journaling. And that's really helped me. And I wanted to share that because there may be musos. It might be guitar, you might be piano, flute, whatever it is. For me, that's really, 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 really helped.
Yeah, I find that banging on the drums is a good way to get some anger out.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that helps. But as a guitarist as well, I can see how you can get into like a melancholy, sad type of thing, playing some,
yeah,
melodic solo stuff, or just, turning on your three distortion pedals and chunking power chords.
yeah,
That they definitely have different emotions to them.
yeah,
So
yeah,
cool. That's
yeah. So
so
that's it.
any suggestions for folks as far as if they're in the middle of their journey and they're dealing with things? I know you talked about somatic tracking, self-compassion, being present, grounded, gratitude. Um, but to me, it sounds like listening to your story that your clarity and certainty that this was the only thing that was going on. I didn't hear any doubt since you really figured out about Sarno. I didn't hear any doubt that maybe this is a body problem. Maybe I missed something because you moved on from all the physical modalities and just said, I'm working here. I'm working here.
Yeah.
So anything you feel like you need to add, or is that kind of cover it?
The only thing I'll add is I thought about this because people ask you, what have you been doing? How did you get over this? And if it's someone who hasn't lived through TMS, like how do you explain this? And in some cases you just don't.
Right.
It's better just not to, better not to engage. But
Mm-hmm.
even for us TMS people, I think everyone's got TMS to be honest. But people who are going through this or who are new for this, to me, it all comes back to me. The word is safe, is safety, that you're not broken, that you're safe. Now, however you go about making yourself safe, we've talked about all the different techniques, and I'm sure there's other beautiful techniques as well. It's whatever works for you. We're all so different. Um, so I do a lot of what I call meditation walks because I live near nice parkland. So I just to slow down my system, I'll go for nice walks in the parkland and just stop, stare at a bird for 5 minutes or a tree and just do those deep little breathing things. And one day it just came to me. I went, well, what is safe? What do you mean to be safe? And then I just thought of the letters of safe, right? So how do we overcome this thing? To me, it was being safe. Then I thought, okay, well, let's come up with words for S, A, F, and E, right? So to me, safe was first. You've got to study, you've got to do the work, you've got to learn, you've got to get the knowledge. And then A for me was attention. Where's your attention right now? Are you focusing on the symptoms? Are you focusing on the jobs at hand? And then F was for fear. Stop fearing. There's nothing to fear. So, you got to study, change where's your attention? Are you fearing the symptoms? Are you fearing life? And the best letter is E. Just enjoy life. There's nothing wrong with you. Whatever that is. I know because I was the same when I couldn't even get out of bed. How can you find enjoyment in that moment? I know it's difficult. I've been there when you're vomiting, so many times. But if you can't get out of bed, is there something you can do? Um, so I try and keep things simple and straight, and just direct. And yeah, that just came to me one day. It's all about being safe, the constant message of safety, and how do we become safe? You know, yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm hearing a lot of my daily stuff in your experience. So
yeah,
I think you've been
yeah,
watching a few of my videos.
yeah. I have only a few.
You still watch them?
Yeah, of course. So even though all the pain and everything gone, I still watch the videos. I still do my somatic tracking, my self compassion, being present because I like it. I enjoy it. Um, I don't watch the videos with the same focus anymore. That sort of makes sense because you
Hmm.
don't want to be just, you've got to get back to living and just, because there was times where I tuned out of healing. I just stopped. And sometimes you need to do that. You just got to get to the E, just start enjoying life. I know I'm not broken. I'm just going to enjoy life. Enough.
Right.
Enough. Yeah. So,
That's friggin' awesome, man.
yeah.
I'll tell you what, for anybody that was initially triggered by some of your dramatic symptom descriptions, I hope you made it to the end of the video because there was some real gold in the second half of the conversation and some heavy duty stuff. And I know some people who really need to listen to this because your heck, smorgasbord of symptoms have all been resolved through one word: safety.
Oh, yeah.
And that safety can't be built unless you have the foundational knowledge, which is your S for study, you know, and then the attention and fear. I talk about that all the time. Fear and attention will keep symptoms persistent. So let's watch where we're putting our attention, and enjoy. Yeah, that's me saying, go live your life. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So brilliant stuff, man. Can't tell you how proud I am of you because you actually
Thanks.
took the concepts and put it into play. And, you know, you were blessed. You had Rebecca's help. And if anybody else wants some help beyond what I offer, then yeah, maybe seek out Rebecca. But bottom line is, this is doable. It's doable for Nick. It's doable for anybody watching because at the end of the day, TMS means there's not a damn thing wrong with your body. And it also means that there's nothing wrong with your brain. None of this was Nick's fault. It's where he ended up. And through a lot of, I guess, self evaluation and exploration with some of these concepts, he came out through the other side. And I would say that, at least from what I'm observing, your life is that much more rich and full. And you are now able to focus on what do I want to be when I grow up?
Yeah.
Any last
Yeah.
words, my friend?
No, just gratitude for you, for Rebecca, for the community. It's such a great community because that's the trait, right? Us TMS people are actually lovely, kind-hearted people. It's why we got pain. So,
Yeah, the community is awesome. The folks in the group have started calling the group our family, pain free you family. Like I feel closer to you people in the group than I do with some of my real family. And it's really come together with wonderful, bunch of people. And some of them are feeling quite well and they're sticking around just because they love the community,
that's
which is really
awesome.
neat.
That's awesome.
But getting on and living your life is key, and you have tools, resources, experience, firsthand experience of what worked for you, and you will have that for the rest of your life. So, should you ever run into any new symptom in the future, and we all get tweaks,
Yeah.
you know exactly what it is and exactly what to do. So, there's no sense in fearing it because a lot of people are like, I finally got rid of the pain, but I'm terrified it's going to come back. Why?
Yeah.
You just got rid of it. You know what to do. It's not a big deal. Oh, but it was so awful. Don't psych yourself out. Don't scare the crap out of yourself. Know that you're going to be okay. And
Yeah.
so, um, really thrilled to have you on here, man. Love that you shared your story. Some huge, huge lessons in there. And unless you've got anything else, we'll wrap it up.
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Nick, you're a rock star, man. I appreciate you. If I can ever do anything for you, reach out. But this will probably post in the next several business days. So if you just
Cool.
keep an eye on the YouTube channel, you'll see it pop up.
All right. I'll leave some bad comments about the guy in the beanie.
Oh, yeah. Just create a false YouTube account. Be like, that guy's a loony. No, all
Yeah.
good, man. I appreciate you.
Thank,
Thanks, Nick.
thank you.